at the back, for that stirring yet refreshingly honest introduction. If we have a book today, it's because HarperCollins India wouldn't have it any other way. And if I am unstoppable, it is because of friends and marketing whizzes like Aishwarya herself. She's a marketing and publicity manager at HarperCollins India. Set every possible gear in motion as they walked a lonely, often hard road with me, all the while infusing my book with a life force of its own as we celebrate one of India's greatest sons, a colossus of Indian science, and in my opinion, one of the greatest Indians who walked these paths since Mahatma Gandhi in his centennial year. Vanakkam, Chennai. Thank you all for graciously hosting me here today as I finally bring my book home. This is where it all started. And when I say that, I'm not just referencing Professor Swaminathan's life, where he was born in Kumbakonam in the erstwhile Madras Presidency in 1925, but the fact that this great city is intertwined with so many of our own lives as well. My husband was born here, and my parents and in-laws both started their married lives here in the 1970s. And in 2003, my husband and I got married here as well. My dad spent his childhood here, and as a part Tamilian girl, my late mother was Bengali. I have tons of family here as well. So this is a homecoming on very different levels for so many of us. My gratitude and thanks to my very distinguished speakers, both icons in their own right, the Honorable Consul Generals, policy and think tank heads, senior bureaucrats, honorable members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, and it's generally heartwarming to see so many members of my family, many of whom I'm actually meeting for the first time after my wedding, which was back in 2003. That's 22 years later. Good evening, and a warm welcome to you for your support and encouragement, for braving the elements weaving through Chennai's traffic, heaving traffic, which I'm sure tested your patience, and for being here.
How many of us think of Mangamba Sambasivam Swaminathan when we drive through either Kumbakonam, Chennai, or for that matter, any town in India? Not many, I suspect, unless we pass to think about hunger or the man who conquered it. Our cities today overflow with choices. Streets lined up with restaurants, the air thick with aromas, eyes searching for the next good meal. We forget that only a few decades ago, hunger was not a metaphor, but a neighbor. Those memories of famine and helplessness lie buried beneath the rubble of injustice left behind by imperialists who dined while we starved. The Annadhata of India, even that noble title, cannot fully encompass the man or describe him. What do I do first? Thank him or remember him? He himself, I think, would have preferred neither. He was too busy celebrating freedom by shouldering his responsibilities. He belonged to a rare generation of Indians who saw liberty not as leisure, but as labor. The sacred duty of rebuilding a broken nation. I grew up in a home that revered such men. History was not in textbooks for me. It was served with dinner in my house. Later, I learned to dive deeper, to touch the currents myself. Sometimes I have watched history unfold. Once in a while, I have even touched it. Yes, I have shaken hands with one of its true heroes, Mr. Swaminathan. Tamil Nadu knows the word Annavasal, the gateway of food. 2000 years ago, Jain Munis earned that title. In our age, Dr. Swaminathan reclaimed it, not through prayer, but through science. For some, food is survival. For a few, it's a political tool. For most, it is love and kindness shared across a plate. But for Mr. Dr. Swaminathan, food was destiny, the destiny of free India. There was a time when the world believed it is impossible for India to feed itself. Drought after drought ravaged the land. We lived at the mercy of foreign aid. We imported grain from America under the PL 480 food aid program. Wheat unfit for their plates, but deemed good enough for ours. It was humiliation disguised as help. And then came a friendship between two men of science, one American, one Indian, that defied impossibility. Dr. Norman Borlaug and Dr. M.S. Swaminathan. Borlaug, the agri-scientist who won the Nobel Prize for achieving peace through wheat, not war. And Dr. Swaminathan, who showed that peace and self-reliance begin not in the halls of power, but in the paddy fields of a hungry nation. Together, they saved millions from hunger and nourished billions yet unborn. Together, they gifted India the miracle of dwarf wheat. Before then, our wheat was top-heavy. It collapsed under the weight of its own promise. This new wheat stood firm, proud, unbending, like the India that would soon rise with it. Dr. Swaminathan understood what few did, that food security is the first linchpin of national security. Unless we became a food surplus nation, we could never stand up to the neo-colonial powers. Without him, India might never have had that policy, independence to make her own choice. Be it in 1971 war or the 1974 Pokhran test, the trinity of Dr. Swaminathan's life could be crystallized as dream, soul, and awaken. He dreamt so that India could eat. He sowed so that India could stand tall. He worked so India could dream again. This book, The Man Who Fed India, captures not just his achievements, but the quiet fire that powered him. Within these pages are glimpses of the man behind the legend and the humility that made greatness look effortless. My favorite image of him in this book, apart from those with his family, is the one where he stands beside Dr. Varghese Kurian. Two revolutions in a single frame. One gave us grain and another milk. Together, they nourish the body and soul of the nation. Over the years, I've learned that one way to make one's life meaningful is to venerate, envy, imitate, and if possible, improvise, drawing from whatever little we know of their journey. This book is one more motivation to do just that, to peek into an achiever's handbook. I congratulate Priyambada for illuminating the extraordinary journey of one of the greatest patriots of independent India, a man to whom we owe more than what we can express. And this evening, this celebration is a collective way of passing his light forward. Like his and my hero once said, "My life is my message." Dr. Swaminathan's life was his message, and I'm honored, deeply honored, to be his messenger.